Hello and welcome to the Better Than I Found It podcast. I'm Mike McGraw, the men's golf coach at Baylor University and your host today. Joining me on the podcast today is Baylor golfer Travis McInroe from Plano, Texas. Travis and I have a really good discussion about his time at Baylor, how he got to Baylor to begin with, his recruitment before I even got here, and certainly 2 U.S. Amateur Championships where he made match play both years. But what I really enjoy about this conversation today is Travis pays particular tribute to several teammates that have really been a big part of his development as a player, but more importantly as a person. So he gives them credit for challenging him, pushing him, and just doing a lot to help him develop into a better person and a better golfer. So without any further ado, I'd like to get to the interview with Travis McInroe. Travis McInroe, Baylor golfer, welcome to the Better Than I Found It podcast today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Coach. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, today is pretty special for me because we started a series this winter of our Baylor senior golfers. We started with Colin Kober, Cooper Dossie. We're going to interview you now, and then Ryan Grider at a later time, and just kind of highlighting who you are because we don't play in front of crowds. So a lot of Baylor fans don't really get to know a golfer very well. And so I think this is a great opportunity for them to do that. You're a very interesting guy, and you also have a lot of really great things about you that I want to get said in today's podcast. I'm going to say some of them. I'm not sure what you got planned, but I can't wait to hear it. So just
sounds good to me.
Take us back to kind of how you got into the game. What got you started? What age were you? Just tell that whole story.
Yeah, so I grew up in West Plano, just north of Dallas, and kind of got into the game around the time of 1999 or 2000. So that would put me at about 2.5. So pretty young. I played a lot of sports when I was growing up, but golf was always, something that I was really interested in. But my dad sort of got me into the game and introduced me to it kind of around the time that Tiger started to really dominate the professional scene. And sort of come onto the scene. So he started getting into golf, a little bit before I was born, and kind of introduced my brother to the game and I to the game around the same time. And so just kind of started taking the plastic golf clubs and the wiffle balls around to my brother's soccer practices and everything, just getting the motion and kind of, getting the feel of everything. But yeah, I would say that my dad introduced me to the game, and my brother and I would always, try to one up each other as we were growing up. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about your brother Trevor, probably about 5 years older than you, I think.
Yeah,
Trevor came to my Oklahoma State golf camp a couple of years in the early 2000s, and so you weren't on the scene yet as far as coming to a golf camp, but he actually came on an official visit years later, and I think he brought the whole family, including you. You were just a little guy.
Yeah, I think that would put me somewhere around, I don't even know, maybe 8 years old or something like that. Or maybe a little bit older. But yeah, I remember taking that long drive up to Stillwater to go around and see the campus and everything. And I don't remember much about the visit, but I do remember going to a steakhouse. So I know that was part of the official.
Yeah, I took you all to the Ranchers Club right on campus. It was a steakhouse run by the students in their hotel and restaurant management
Really?
degree.
Wow.
Yeah, so they did a really wonderful job. I missed that place, but
Yeah.
But so I do remember that, and I assumed all along that Trevor and you, even though there was a big age difference, he had to have some role in your development as a player, whether it was the competition or whatever. Describe that a little bit.
Yeah. So just where I started out practicing was out at Glen Eagles Country Club in Plano. And so my brother and I would always go out there and, play matches and practice, just develop our games together. And of course, younger brothers always trying to beat the older brother growing up. And so yeah, it was great to have, a guy that I was always competing against, that guy being my brother. And so, I always wanted to, try to best him in whatever it is, whether that was, just something we were doing around the house or going out to the golf course. And so it was great for my development growing up, and always trying to push me to, try to do a little bit better when I went out and practice, or when I went and played with him on the course, or even his friends. I became close with a lot of his buddies who he got close with through being in high school and Plano West golf and everything like that. And so it was great to have guys who were, always, physically better than me, or, had more practice and that type of thing. So it was good for my development out there on Eagles, and then switching over to TPC Craig Ranch and McKinney, kind of a bigger golf course, but, still that feeling of, okay, I only carry the ball, 230 yards right now, or whatever, however far I carried it when I was 12, but, teeing up from further back and trying to beat my brother from the same tees and everything. So, it was always good to have my brother around for that competitive drive and, trying to get to the next level. So.
Right. And my older brother, Tim, did the same. He was only 3 years older than I was, but not 5, but he did provide a great amount of competition. I wasn't nearly as good as my older brother, but I saw what he did, and he won the state junior and the Texas Oklahoma junior and state high school. He was a really good player in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But you played, I'm sure you played a lot of different junior tours as a kid growing up, eventually making it to what is considered one of the top junior tours in the state, the Legends Junior Tour. You played that, and you had a lot of success there. Talk about that little transition going to a little bit higher level golf.
Yeah. So again, when I was younger, with the the TJGT and the North Texas PGA Tour, I would always try to play, especially when I was, 8 and 9 years old, maybe 10 years old. I would always try to play in the age division up, which, a lot of parents do with their kids to try to see if they can compete with the older guys. But yeah, there's a lot of great golf in the Texas area, especially in the DFW area. And yeah, the Legends Tour did a lot for me, and it's done a lot for a lot of golfers in Texas, just because they provide a lot of well-run tournaments in a lot of different areas in the state of Texas, and there's plenty of golf courses to choose from. So yeah, I played a lot on that tour, especially around my mid-teenage years, kind of just developing my game and kind of transitioning into high school golf and that type of thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed going around and playing the different courses that they hosted tournaments at.
Right, and you eventually won the state high school championship in Texas, which I want to talk about in a second when you were a senior at Plano High. But I want to talk a little bit about my recruitment of you, which is very, very different. So yeah. Your brother came on that visit, but I had seen you before your brother ever visited. I knew who your brother was because he'd come to golf camp, and I was down at Brookhaven over spring break watching a junior golf tournament, and I happened upon you on a par 3 over water. I don't know what hole it was.
Yeah, I think it's number 17 on the Masters course.
Okay,
out
well,
there in Brookhaven.
And you had out a driver, and you just ripped this driver as hard as you could hit it. It carried the water by about 3 feet and rolled up to about 6 feet for a birdie.
Yeah, well, it was a solid shot. Yeah, that's all I could say. But yeah, I mean, obviously I knew who you were, from my brother's visits to Oklahoma State, and, just Oklahoma State at that time was experiencing a lot of success. So I think everyone in the game of golf, especially, around the southern areas of the U.S. knew, Oklahoma State, Coach McGraw, Coach Holder, all those types of things. And so, yeah, there are a couple of funny encounters that I had with you. But yeah, starting with that driver I hit on that par 3.
Well, I remember that shot very well. And I think you have a pretty vivid memory of the junior world in San Diego. Now, let me preface that by saying I was over at Torrey Pines watching the older age group, couldn't find any players that were either available or good enough, or just couldn't find a player I was interested in. So I thought I'll go over to that other golf course where the younger age groups are playing and watch some golf today instead. And yeah. I happened upon this kid from Dallas, Texas, Travis McInroe again. And yeah. So describe that day.
Yeah. So I can't remember, which course or which round or whatever, but I know I was out there for Junior Worlds, and, always going out to California is a great trip, awesome area and great golf courses. So, So I remember, I think it was just kind of a later point in the round, or maybe I was making the turn. It was later in one of the nines, and I was coming off the green and walking over to the next tee. And it's this par four that goes over some sand traps and takes a little dogleg right up to the green. And I kind of see this guy just kind of sitting on the tee box, and I'm like, I think that's Coach McGraw, but I'm not gonna make a judgment before I get any closer. So started walking closer. Of course, I see the the Oklahoma State logo on the shirt, on the hat, and everything, and I'm like, all right, that's Coach McGraw. And the tee box for that specific hole was not very wide, probably about 15 feet wide or so from tee marker to tee marker. And I'm walking up and I see you're kind of close to the playing area. So I get up there, and a lot of college coaches have the move where they lay down, if they're getting tired throughout the round, or that type of thing, kind of just take a seat without having a seat on the ground. And you're sitting maybe two feet from the right tee marker, and I'm like, that's a little close for a coach, but I'm just gonna go ahead and play this tee shot and see what he thinks. But I think I had a good one, and I don't know, I guess you like the golf.
In my defense, when you walk every day and stand and walk and stand and walk for a whole summer, it's sometimes you just kind of want to sit down, and so that's what I was doing. It's a comfortable spot. So,
yeah, it was definitely something that stuck in my head over all these years, because
right. And so I didn't think much more about it. You were still too young to even recruit or call or write or anything. So I didn't give it much more thought. Lost my job at Oklahoma State about a year later, and went to Alabama for a year. So I lost track of you altogether. And when I got the job at Baylor in June of 2014, Greg Priest, the coach that I replaced, told me you were one of his verbal commitments. So I thought, man, this is full circle.
This guy just won't go away.
Well, he just won't go away. And so I did call you and told you I would honor that commitment that Coach Priest had made to you and your commitment to Baylor. And so here we are, basically almost 6.5 years later. But I was pretty thrilled because, tell me a little bit about how Greg Priest and Ryan Blagg recruited you, because I think that was a little unusual as well.
Yeah, so growing up, I didn't have much of an allegiance to any school or any golf program, like some kids do, especially a lot of kids at Baylor do. It seems like every third person I meet is the second generation or third generation Baylor Bear. But yeah, growing up, my dad went to A&M and went to SMU for grad school. And then my mom is from Pittsburgh, so she went to Pitt for college and then moved back down to Dallas. But yeah, growing up, playing golf, just kind of, trying to show my game at these different golf tournaments and, see where I could go. And so played a golf tournament on the Legends Tour that we were talking about earlier down here at Ridgewood. And I hadn't met either of Coach Blagg or Coach Priest before the golf event, and found myself playing pretty well in the first round there, and saw Coach Blagg off the green on number 4. So I just in my approach shot, I'm like, I kind of made a practice of, whatever college coach I saw to walk up, introduce myself. Hi, I'm Travis McInroe. Nice to meet you. And, I know there's all these rules with, college coaches not being able to walk up to a player and say, hey, I'm this person, or I coach this program, I want you to do this. And so I kind of made an effort to put myself out there. But yeah, found myself playing pretty well in that round. And I'd taken a couple unofficials to A&M and also to University of Arizona. And so I'm stumbling upon, Baylor's home course, Ridgewood Country Club. And
63 that day, by the way.
There's Blagg. Yeah. So I was playing pretty well that day. And yeah, just going throughout the round, introduced myself to Coach Blagg and played. I think I maybe 2-putted for par on that hole, or maybe I made it. I don't know. And played number 5 and then walked up into 6th fairway. And I guess Coach Blagg had told Coach Priest that, he wanted him to watch me. And so, because I guess he knew what I was at, or maybe he saw my golf swing and he was like, wow, that's great. But so I just remember that experience, and then taking unofficial visit down here, I think a week later, back down to Waco, and went around, saw the campus. First time I'd ever stepped foot on Baylor's campus. And obviously, the business school, everything that was developing around Baylor at the time, and things were going great. And so I was like, this campus is an hour and a half, hour 45 south of where I live. I can still come back and see my coach. I can still see my parents, but they're not too close. So, not dropping off dinner every other night, that type of thing. But yeah, just seemed like a great fit. And coaches liked me. I liked the campus. I liked where everything was going with the program. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to be offered on that same day. And yeah, the rest is history. And it's just kind of, fell into your life again a few months later.
Well, and that's the beauty of it is, I accepted this commitment from you, but you still had literally 2 years before you were going to be on campus.
Yeah, I was pretty young. That was the spring of my sophomore year in high school.
Yeah, it was right after. So,
which is kind of I guess, kind of the effect of Brad Dalkey committing really young, when he was about 12 or barely 13 or something around that time. So I knew that it was pretty young for a commitment.
well, and you were still playing good golf, and I got a real shot in the arm when 2 years later you were playing the state high school championship, and you were paired with Colin Kober, who had already committed to Baylor as well. So both of you had already signed, and you shot a really good final round, and you won the state high school championship that day by a shot over Colin.
Yeah. So I remember in the first round we weren't paired together, and I had started playing golf, high school golf at Prestonwood Christian in 9th and 10th grade, and was fortunate enough to play some good golf there, and then wanted to step up in competition because private, I forget what it's called, I think it's TAPS 5A is what I was playing in. Has a lot of good players, and namely Will Zalatoris played at Trinity Christian, so played a lot of golf against him and some other great players that went on to do some good things in college, and now pro, obviously, for Will, playing great golf recently. But yeah, going to UIL the next year, just kind of wanted to step up in competition a little bit. And so yeah, I played a lot of golf against Colin. I didn't know him very well from the summer golf circuits, Legends Junior Tour and AJGA and that types of things, but I didn't run across him. But played a lot of high school golf against him. He played at South Lake, and I was obviously at Plano West, and we had a couple of good teams around that same time period. I think his team in 2015, when they won, they had something like 8 or 9 D1 signees or commits on the same team, which is kind of incredible. But yeah, and he obviously won individual that year. And then the next year, Plano West had a pretty solid team, and I was fortunate enough to play some good golf and won the state championship that day. But I think Colin and I were paired together in the final round, and I remember just walking around and kind of seeing you just eyeballing your 2 incoming freshmen or 2 out of the 3 incoming freshmen. So,
well, interestingly enough, I think you guys played with or around Johnny Kiefer. He was
really. Yeah. They're further south than we are, so we didn't see him, I guess, outside of the state championship.
Right.
But and I didn't know Johnny at the time, but yeah, just another great player at the same tournament. So
yeah, well, that brings to a point that I'd like to make is one of the things that Coach Black and I did when I first got here was we kind of started trying to focus our attention in the state of Texas because we thought there were a lot of really good players. And
yeah,
I think you played a lot of junior golf against Ryan Greider, who's a senior now. You played a ton against Colin Kober. You played a lot of junior golf against Cooper Dossie.
Yeah.
And Ryan Greider. So you all of you guys saw each other growing up at various tours and tournaments and whatever. And so there you are competing against Colin at the state championship. He's a defending champion, and then you win it. So I've got the 2 state high school champion, reigning state champions coming to Baylor, and was really excited about that. But you've been Colin's roommate, or he's been your roommate for 5 years. That's incredible.
Yeah. So, and just to go back on Ryan and Cooper, that same round, or sorry, that same tournament that I was talking about where I had met Coach Black for the first time, the Legends, like I think it was the collegiate preview
It was.
out at Ridgewood. In the final round, I was paired with Ryan and Cooper in that tournament. And then we all end up on the same team. So it's, it's incredible how small the world is sometimes in the game of golf. But yeah, Colin, has been my roommate for, I guess, coming up on 5 years here. And I remember, we had played a lot of high school golf against each other, but we didn't really know each other that well personally coming into college. But yeah, it's been, great having him as a close friend over the last 5 years. And yeah, he's obviously walked through a lot of experiences that we've had together over college. So, obviously great guy, great work ethic in school and on the golf course. So, yeah, I've been fortunate to know him and have him as a close friend over all these years. But yeah, it's pretty incredible to have the same roommate for 5 years all the way through college. It's just kind of worked out that way.
That's really rare. And although you guys have similar personalities, you also have a lot of things that are a lot different from each other. And so, to live with the same person that long in a enclosed space like that, sometimes you could get on each other's nerves. You guys haven't done that. Your relationship has grown. But one of the things you've done is you've kind of complemented each other, because you're two of the most disciplined student athletes I've been around. You train out hard, you study hard, you're both great students. You actually eat great. You do a great job with nutrition, which is, kind of rare in your generation. I mean, you're the exception to the rule, if you will. And here you are, both making great grades, studying hard, working out hard, eating the right foods, living in the same apartment for 5 years. I don't know if I'll coach that very often, because usually the personalities are really different, and the way they go about their business is very, different. So I've been impressed with the way you both complimented each other on that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And yeah, when you kind of develop a team with 10, or I remember our junior year, it was, I think, or my junior year, it was 10 guys all from the state of Texas. You can definitely get a lot of different personalities. But yeah, Colin and I are very similar in a lot of different ways. So I've been fortunate to have him as a close friend over all these years. So
yeah, that's great. And you mentioned, you played with Ryan and Cooper at that Ridgewood Legends Tour.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I want you to talk about two events in college that weren't college events, but it was a U.S. Amateur in consecutive years, and how small the world is when 3,000 people enter the U.S. Amateur at various sites around the country, and they all qualify, and you have to get to the final. Then you have to play 36 holes at the U.S. Am to make match play. And who did you meet in the first round of the 2019 U.S. Am at Pinehurst?
Yeah, so I'm going out there to my first USAM, first USGA event actually, and is obviously an incredible place. Pinehurst #2, has been a host to, I think when I played the USAM there, I think it was its 10th USGA event, and many US Opens, many USAMs, and a women's US Open too, and so it was obviously, a great trip. Those two trips that I've had to the USAMs were obviously two of the better trips that I've had, just all around experience, because, Pinehurst and Bandon Dunes the next year, obviously golf destinations for anyone playing golf in the US or outside the US even. But yeah, so I go through the first 2 rounds of stroke play there, kind of just make my way around the golf course on number 4, shoot even, I think, in the first round of stroke play, and then go to number 2, and probably one of the hardest golf courses that I've played in approach shots. The greens there are just incredibly slopey, and they're massive, but the playing area on the greens is so small, because probably 3 or 4 yards in on every green it slopes off into a collection area. And obviously they have the north south there every year, and so a lot of amateur golfers have gone out there and played. But yeah, so I go through the first 2 rounds of stroke play, and I'm kind of looking at the leaderboard to kind of see who am I going to play. I think I finished tied for 42nd or something in stroke play. I don't know, good enough to move on to match play in that year. But yeah, they didn't finish the round in on the first day, and so they had to come back for a playoff in the next day. And I'm kind of looking at the sheet and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to play a top seed because I finished, kind of in the lower 2/3 of stroke play. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at Cooper, and he played great. I think he finished 4th or 3rd in stroke play that year. And obviously he had won the North-South there earlier that summer. And so, had a lot of great mojo around that golf course and had a lot of match play experience. And so I get to the putting green the next morning and they wrap up the playoff, and I'm looking at the pairing sheet, and who do I see? I see T. McInroe versus C. Dossie. I'm playing Cooper in the first round of match play, who at the time was going to be, I had just lived with him the year before here in this same apartment, and I was living with him the next year too, that upcoming year. And out of all the guys that I could have played, out of the 64 guys that made match play that year, I'm playing Cooper, who, obviously a great player, went on to have a phenomenal year, finalist for the Haskins in that upcoming college season, and first team All-American, playing some great golf. And I'm playing him in the first round of match play on the same course that he had won, a very similar style tournament, I think a month before or a month and a half earlier. And so, that was talk about small world. So,
but nonetheless, so small world, you're playing against a college teammate, roommate, that type of thing. But this was your first USGA event. So to make match play was a great accomplishment. And it would have been awesome if you could have played somebody else beside a teammate. But
yeah. So I show up on the putting green, and I didn't see Cooper maybe until 25 minutes before we went off, because he's on the putting green, I'm on the range, opposite. So he walks up and he's like, "What's up, bro?" I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I'm just like, hey, I mean, I hope we both play great today, but I want to beat you by one. But we go out, and I think obviously my first USGA event, first time making match play USAM, and this is back when they allowed people on the golf course before COVID and everything. And so there were a lot of people on the first tee out there at number 2. And probably one of, obviously it's the first round of match play. You haven't really done anything yet, but probably one of the more nervous times that I've been on the golf course. Just everything that was happening is honestly pretty funny too, just playing Cooper. But it was a great experience all around that trip.
Yeah, well, we were proud, Baylor Bears, to have 2 guys playing in the first round of match play against each other, and it was too bad you had to play each other, but that's the way it goes. So fast forward a year to Bandon Dunes in the middle of COVID, unusual testing that had to be done. Like all these tournaments since the return to golf has been unusual, but you were very, very thankful and fortunate to be playing the USAM at Bandon Dunes.
Oh yeah.
And I think you actually played a lot better in the stroke play qualifying than you did even the year before.
Yeah. So, like you said, everything surrounding COVID and kind of going into that summer, coming off the spring season, everything being canceled around March 15th, and just kind of going around, looking at the calendar, the weeks go by, not really sure what kind of schedule you're going to have that summer. And so, I remember, it being kind of around early June, and tournaments were saying, we're going to have it, we're going to do these protocols and that type of thing. But for the USAM, it was really run like a PGA Tour event with testing before you went, testing when you got there, temperature checks every day. It was a really safe environment. The USGA did a great job of putting that event on. But going out to Bandon Dunes, obviously it was a great trip, type of golf that I hadn't played before, very links style golf course. And I remember playing with Coach Mikkel, one of Coach Mikkel's players over there at Texas Tech, Sandy Scott, in they had a par 3 contest. And so I kind of went around, and obviously I'm close friends with Andy Lopez, who plays on the same team as Sandy. And I was asking him about the golf, and I was like, is this pretty similar to what you see back home? And he was like, yeah, pretty much the exact same thing. So I knew that he was going to go on and play well that week. But great trip. Obviously a couple of great golf courses that we played, Bandon Dunes and Bandon Trails. But Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be playing some good golf and performed pretty well in the first round, and kind of locked up a good seed in stroke play going into match play. But yeah, it was a great trip, and obviously very thankful to play well in that type of stage. So
Yeah, and I don't know how many guys. I know it's a certain number that made match play in each of the last two U.S. amateurs. I don't know what that number is, but nonetheless, very significant accomplishment for you. So congratulations on that. But I
yeah.
was going to ask again about one of your teammates, Colin Kober, because you have lived together for 5 years straight, every single year. What do you think is the best thing you've done for Colin in his development as a player, and what do you think he's given you? So if you could talk to both of those.
Wow. So I think that Colin has done a great job of developing himself. He's obviously an extremely intelligent guy, has a 4.0 all the way through undergrad and all the way through grad school, about to graduate this semester with it. So obviously tremendous work ethic, really good at handling all the responsibilities in his life. And I think that, you know, if there would be, one thing that everybody kind of wanted him to develop on was, and you kind of harped on it on him as well in his first couple of years, was he was a little, I guess, negative at times, but yeah, just kind of, trying to help him along that. And I know that Cooper also did a great job and walking alongside with us, in each of our development throughout these years. But yeah, I guess that's just one thing that I've kind of played a small part in, and tried to when you're on a college team, you try to help all the guys around you to some extent. But yeah, I guess that's one thing that he's developed throughout college that was different when he first came in. But I guess that's speaking to Colin. And then for me, I think that just being around a guy that is, such a great worker and has, such great structure is obviously, rubbed off on everybody, and has definitely rubbed off on me over the last few years that I've lived with him and, been around him every day. So obviously very thankful to have, a guy like that on the team, and yeah, just kind of, having more structure and, more discipline and all that types of things, for which is great in any facet of life, in school, on the golf course, off the golf course, anything. So
I think he's done that for me even. I mean, I think, I'm a pretty disciplined guy anyway, but I mean, he's just that way. So, but I wouldn't say you had too far to go in that area. You're a pretty disciplined guy. So
yeah,
I think he enhanced what you were doing and gave you maybe a little more structure than you would have had. But either way you look at it, you guys have both poured into each other and made each other better, which is what you need to do as a collegiate athlete is use the teammates you have as the best resource. I can't
yeah,
provide a better resource for you than to give you a teammate like Colin Kober or a teammate like Cooper Dossie or Ryan Greider or Johnny Kiefer or whomever. Just
yeah,
all the guys we put around you, those are important resources.
yeah,
So
yeah. And they're definitely guys that you spend, every day with on and off the golf course. I major in accounting as well, and I'm doing the same grad degree that he is. And so, we've had a lot of classes together. We spent a lot of time together in the classroom and on the golf course, practicing out at the Billy, and in the weight room and everything like that. So, yeah, it's definitely a testament to having good guys around you, and you're kind of the average of the people you hang out with. And so, it's always good to have people who are better than you in different things, in your circle. So
one of the things that's probably underplayed, what you've added to the Baylor golf program as you've been here, I want to say this to all of our listeners. You've actually worked very, very hard to get your GPA, which I'm not allowed to say what your GPA is, but it's very high. And that's come through great effort and great sacrifice, because I know you have sacrificed. So I want to thank you in front of everybody right here. You've
yeah,
worked hard to get that.
yeah. Well, thank you. It's not as good as a lot of other people in the accounting program here. Obviously, they have a great accounting and business law program here at Baylor, but just try to do my work in the classroom and see where that can take me. So
Well, I think it's made you a better golfer to be that great a student. So, but okay, so here we get to our last. I'm going to ask you a couple of more questions before we do a speed round to finish on. But
yeah,
the question I'd like to ask is, you've got to be excited. You're playing in your last semester at Baylor. So pro golf is on the other side. We'll talk about that in a second. But, what do you think this team could accomplish this year? I mean, in your opinion, just be honest about what you think we could do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have incredible talent, and we have a lot of surprising depth on the team as well. There are not a lot of teams in college golf that have great players all the way through, and so um, I mean, obviously, I think that we can have a lot of success coming down the stretch here in the regular season, or I guess not coming down the stretch. We're just getting started here, but I mean, ideally, you want to go into the national championship and you want to make something happen for the team, and I think that we have the talent to make that happen and to go out there and win. And so it's all about just getting the guys who are fortunate enough to be in that position, getting them goal oriented around that, and making sure that everyone's on the same page leading into the postseason. But yeah, I mean, I think that we can go out there and win the national championship out there in Arizona. So yeah, I mean, I think that this team can really do anything that they put their mind to. We have a lot of great players. Obviously Cooper's a great player. Ryan's having phenomenal season. Johnny's playing some great golf. He was in I think it was an honorable mention all American last year. So, whenever you have, great players that are, doing good things every time they go out and play golf, it's obviously, a great asset to have going into the postseason. So I think if we can all kind of, like you were saying earlier, kind of pour into each other as the tournaments get, a little closer together, and you're going out and playing against some of the better teams in the country. I think if we can all just kind of, get on the same track, then we can have a lot of success going into the postseason. So
I love it. I love it. I think you're right. I think this team will do some special things. So you're a part of that. We appreciate that so much. But so it is going to come to an end, though, Baylor golf for you. I mean, you only get so much time on that train.
yep.
And what are your plans afterwards? I think I know. Well, actually,
Yeah.
I do know. Let's tell the listeners what your plans are in this summer coming up.
Yeah, so I think that anyone coming out of their last year in college kind of has the same, game plan of what they want to do. Obviously, world ranking and everything like that plays a part in getting certain exemptions and that type of thing. But I think that ideally anyone would want to walk out of school and have status on some type of tour that leads to the PGA Tour. And so, obviously with COVID and everything, there's difficulties in trying to travel overseas and that type of thing, or to different countries even. But yeah, there's a couple of qualifying series that come up for PGA Tour Latin America and PGA Tour Canada, which both of those tours happen over the summer. And so it's a great structure for college guys to go out and play, a qualifying site sometime throughout the spring, usually, anywhere from February to early April, and try to give themselves an opportunity to walk out of school with status. And so, ideally that's what you would do. And that's, what I hope to do. Luckily I got a qualifying site that doesn't conflict much with our tournament schedule out there in California, kind of around the third week of March. And so, yeah, just getting myself ready for that. I know that Colin's playing in the same site, and I know that Ryan's playing in a site a couple weeks before. And I think that Cooper's also playing in a site a couple weeks before in Arizona.
Well, those are all scheduled not against a college golf tournament.
Yeah. Just trying to, balance the travel and the quarantining and everything and trying to keep everybody safe. But yeah, personally, I would obviously love to set myself up to go out to that qualifying site, play well in California this is for PGA Tour Canada. And so go out there, play well, and try to walk into the summer with some type of status on a tour that, puts you on a quote unquote fast track to the PGA Tour, so yeah, that's what I would love to do and try to set myself up well for pro golf. But there's tons of options that are in play, with COVID and, what tour is going to happen, what's going to happen. So, ideally you would like to set yourself up and walk out of school with some status. So that's kind of what I plan to do in the near future.
Well, we want to wish you the best of luck there, because obviously it's been your dream since you were a little boy to play the PGA Tour, and now that college will be behind you here in about 3.5 months, it's time to step out on that stage and give it a shot. So we want to
Yeah.
wish you the best of luck there. But
Yeah.
before you go, we're going to do a speed round.
Okay.
So a lot of these questions are similar to questions I've asked other guests. And so over time, Coach Mikkel and I are going to compile all the different answers and see what most people think. But some of yours are unique to you as well. So
Yeah.
are you ready?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Favorite fast food?
Chick-fil-A. I've actually, this is actually the same fast food that I picked up this morning.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Favorite pro athlete?
Favorite pro athlete. I guess there's a little bit of recency bias, but I would say Tom Brady. I mean, I've always, I don't know why I was a fan of Tom Brady, you know, around the time I was growing up, but
well, he was
you know,
winning.
yeah, I mean, obviously he's having a lot of success on the Patriots around that time, you know, in the mid 2000s and, you know, all the way to now. But yeah, I would say Tom Brady, you know, talking about work ethic and everything, that guy is, you know, the model for that type of thing. So
that's a good role model to have. Shawshank Redemption or Remember the Titans?
You know, you might be able to guilt trip me a little bit here. I'm not a big movie guy in the first place, so you know, you might have to pardon me a little bit here, but I've only seen parts of the Shawshank Redemption. I haven't seen was the other one, Remember the Titans?
Yes.
Yeah, you can guilt trip me a little bit here, but I would have to say
guilt trip you.
Yeah, I'd have to say Shawshank Redemption because it's the only one that I've seen parts of. So
it's a great show. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Favorite golf course you have played? Doesn't have to be in competition, just the favorite golf course you played.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one's a close one, probably between, you know, we're talking about it earlier, Pinehurst #2 and Olympia Fields, the North Course. Obviously, you know, we could play a college tournament out there, and we were unable to go out there this year to the Fighting Illini. But yeah, I mean, played it 3 times now, and you know, it's such a great course. You know, from the first tee to the 18th green, and obviously it's hosted a lot of great tournaments. You know, USAM, US Opens. So I'd have to say it's kind of a tie between those two, but yeah, I guess that's what I would say. So
those are great options, both of them. Course you'd most like to play but haven't played.
Ooh, you know, I'm a Dallas guy, growing up in Plano, and I haven't gone out and played Dallas National, so I guess I would say that. But you know, on a national scale, I would probably say maybe Oakmont. I think Oakmont is obviously a great site, and I think the USAM is there this year. Talking about USAMs all the time here, but
no, it's a great venue. What a golf.
Yeah.
All right, favorite Coach McGraw quirk.
Favorite Coach McGraw quirk? Well, obviously, yeah, Mikkel's over there doing I wanted, yeah. So I mean, everybody knows, you know, legendary eating ability of Coach McGraw. And you know, it's just on full display at every meal, you know. And you know, the diet that you're going on recently, you know, obviously, you know, props to you trying to take care of your health, but the talent, the raw ability has not left. And so we're out at a tournament recently, a couple of days ago actually, and you got some tremendous ability to eat some ice cream. I gotta say it. So
okay.
Yeah,
a lot of guests have said that, because once you witness it, it's kind of something you can't forget.
It's just pure greatness. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's just pure raw athletic ability to eat ice cream. So
all right, steak or fish for you?
Steak or fish? I would say steak. Steak.
Well, you're a Texas boy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So a serious question. Best advice you'd have for any junior golfer that's aspiring to play college golf? Just the best piece of advice you'd give a young player.
I would say, you know, obviously get yourself into the game, make sure that you love what you're doing. Cause you know, you got to have that inner passion and inner determination to put yourself through, you know, the bad times. Cause there are going to be bad times, you know, throughout your career. If you play golf long enough, everybody experiences it. But, I would say, you know, for junior golfers looking to play college golf, make sure you find a school that's a great fit, you know, for your golf, you know, obviously the coaching staff and the guys on the team and where you're playing and everything, but also try to find a school that can educate you and develop you as a person. And obviously Baylor has done a great job of that with me, and a great job of that for a lot of other guys on the team, and not just on the team, any student that comes here to this school. But and I've been fortunate enough to have a school that develops me athletically, academically, and personally. But yeah, I would definitely say try to find some type of fit that kind of meets all those requirements and can develop you for the next step, because that's pretty much what you're getting ready for. Is you're always trying to get ready for the next step, whether that's a junior golfer trying to play on a national stage, or a really successful junior golfer trying to go to amateur or college, and eventually you're trying to take the next step to pro. And so definitely just try to surround yourself with a collegiate program and a school that can develop you, and not just athletically, because sometimes you can have a little bit of a the blinders on when you're trying to find a great athletic program to go and play for. But try to find a school that can, or try to find a program that can develop you athletically, a school that can develop you academically and also personally. So that's what I would say about that.
Good advice. Good advice. So the final question I have for you on the speed round.
Okay.
Your dream foursome, you and 3 other players. So you got to pick 3 players. They could be dead or alive, golfers or non-golfers, whatever. 3 people you want to play golf with.
Okay. So mine's going to be all golfers.
Okay.
So obviously Tiger Woods. I mean, I think anybody's going to say Tiger Woods, but I would say Tiger Woods. I'm probably going to have to go with Xander Schauffele.
Good pick.
Obviously great player, has had a lot of great recent success on the PGA Tour. And I try to model, a few things about my game around things that he does. Great player. But I would have to say Tiger, Xander, and I'm going to throw you into the mix here, Coach McGraw. I'm going to put you in the dream golf foursome there. So go out there and tee it up. I haven't been fortunate enough to go do that over my career, and I know that golf rounds are slim pickings for you. You work so hard, but I'm going to throw you in there. Might as well.
I'm honored. We're going to make that happen. I'll get Xander and Tiger.
Yeah, just call them up. You got those guys in your contacts, don't you?
I do. Why not? Hey, listen, Travis, you've been great today. I appreciate it. I'm really, really excited about the next 3.5 months for you, me, and all your teammates, and Coach Mikkel and everybody involved with Baylor Golf. But thank you for the commitment you've given us for 4 3/4 years so far. And let's get this thing to the finish line.
Yeah. It's been a great ride so far, and just trying to develop myself for the next step. And thank you for having me on today. I appreciate making the time. So
absolutely. Well, sick and bears, Travis. Take care.
Yeah, sick and bears.
Sick 'em.